Our second presenter is Christina, whose presentation will focus on Bolt and Knight Rider, the future of mobile betting. It sounded to me like a title for a movie starring David Hasselhoff. Maybe that's just showing my age a little. Christina has held several senior roles from trader to director with some of the sector's biggest and most recognisable names, including William Hill and Virgin, where she managed multidisciplinary, multifunctional teams across a number of jurisdictions, channels and products over a career spanning 25 years. She's currently Principal Consultant at 1710 Gaming Limited, a specialist betting and gaming consultancy. I'd now invite Christina, to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Still awake, fabulous. Firstly, a huge honour and privilege to be invited to come and speak with you today. A huge thank you to the Commission and also a lady called Miss Andrea Allen, who was very diligent in making sure I got here in one piece. Just before I kick off, what I will say is this will be a whistle-stop tour looking at some of the exciting and sexy new things that are happening in the world of technology and which are about to hit the gaming sector as well. This morning we heard talk about how the two different regulators, together with other stakeholders in the industry, are all looking at taking a joined-up approach. I can't stress how important that is. My background, as Philip just mentioned, is very much from an operator perspective. If I'm being completely honest, I start off as a gambler first, then an operator, more latterly regulation and law enforcement. So if I'm looking at this saying, I'm going to use it as a customer, at the other end of the spectrum, regulators, law enforcement need to start looking as well. As an operator, we love technology. The reason we love technology is it moves a damn sight faster than regulation. We will jump on it, we will exploit it. By the time regulation has caught up with us, we will be on to the next big thing. On that, and on the basis the clicker is going to work, or not. It's ironic, it is about technical. Lovely, thank you. Start off with a statement. Next 5 years, 90% of sector growth globally is going to be via mobile. Is there anybody who disagrees with that? Excellent. What we're going to look at over the next 15-20 minutes is a very brief overview of mobile payments, contactless technology, biometrics, responsible gambling perhaps, augmented reality and advertising, beacon technology, marketing, virtual reality, looking at how we're moving faster and faster towards a multi-channel experience, next generation interactive betting, and voice-activated betting. Some of you may know that at the moment as telephone betting. Anybody not know who Apple and Samsung are? Apple Pay, have you heard of it? Loop Pay, have you heard of it? Loop Pay has done a deal with Samsung. It will very soon become Samsung Pay. When these two guys jump on the bandwagon, you know it's only a matter of time before you're going to be using this. It's on its way. I'm not going to go into too much detail because Mr. Halsall is going to talk a little bit more about digital payments, but very briefly within the gambling space, those of you who have experience of casinos and gaming lounges will already know we're moving towards cashless, where the machines have tokenization or they have receipts. It comes with benefits, it also comes with some high risks. When we start looking at contactless, we remove the customer is present and the PIN element. In the UK, contactless technology only allows £20 per transaction at the moment. You could say that when you apply it to machine technology, you're building in pre-commitment, responsible gambling. You could argue there's a high fraud risk. There is no customer interaction. I can pick up anybody's phone, anybody's card, use it. Contactless does not currently support refunds. Signal strengths. This is near-field communication. It works like Bluetooth. How many times do you look at how many Wi-Fi networks are available? You see yours and all of your neighbours as well. The only thing stopping you accessing other things is password and ownership of that device. If we look at mobile wallets, it's just technology. A lot of gaming machines out there are server-based gaming. They're not the manual one-arm bandits anymore. You can take technology, you can put it anywhere you like. If you can just deposit onto a gaming machine by touching your phone, you will start to lose track of how much you've spent. So you start to take away the reality checks that are built in with gambling at the moment. So something to think about from a responsible gambling perspective. There is an argument that there's a lower risk of fraud because you can't take cash out physically. It's only a matter of time before that changes. So there's a number of different things which you need to look at. The wonderful thing about contactless and Bluetooth technology is you can intercept it. As operators and as regulators, you both need to consider a scenario where somebody hits big on a jackpot, but the deposit came from somebody who happened to be walking past with a phone in their hand at the time. And the deposit for that win may have come from somebody else. Biometrics. How many of you go through passport control and they take a photograph? So all of you are pretty much familiar with facial recognition. In the UK, we are running trials at the moment, looking at facial recognition for land-based entry. We can use it for security. We can use it for fighting crime, keeping crime away, money laundering detection. We can also use it for social responsibility and national self-exclusion schemes. Unfortunately, facial recognition isn't quite there. How many gentlemen are married in the audience? How many of you have wives who look completely different with and without makeup? That's the margin of error with facial recognition. You can change your glasses, it won't recognise you. And there's a reason that airports require you to look directly at the camera. So if somebody is not looking directly at the camera, from an operator perspective, the margin of error is slightly too high to trust it. We will get to it at some point, however. But as you can see, fingerprint technology, pretty unique to individuals. Ajax, the Dutch police, they use it at their stadiums to monitor hooligans. And Sky Bet, you've all heard of Sky? Sky Bet is Sky's betting and gaming division. They have introduced fingerprint log-on for their online digital accounts. This is Apple, only works for Apple. Apple's best friend have come up with something different. This is Iris on the move. A year ago, everybody was looking at this going, nah, bit too Mission Impossible, never gonna work. When a brand like Samsung gets behind it and they start developing at that kind of level, mainstream technology, suddenly the cost starts to come down. And what you find is actually the iris is the most unique part of an individual. Fingerprint technology, very, very easy to get around. I won't kind of tell you the tricks that you can use. They're all legal, but they will make your fingerprint look like somebody else's. So, anybody's interested, I will be in the lobby afterwards. But, again, we have pros and cons. You can have secure login, you can have secure authentication. In case of money laundering, responsible gambling, it's a fabulous way of identifying and keeping track of a unique individual. You reduce the risk of duplicate accounts. You can reduce the risk of fraud. This might apply in the world of betting in terms of agent accounts where people are smurfing as opposed to standard money laundering. Lots of different applications in terms of fraud. And as I said, it can support land-based self-exclusion. The cons at the moment, technology can be quite expensive, but it's developing at quite a pace. It will come down. It's new technology. New technology does come with its flaws. Those of you who bought version 4 and 5 of the iPhone will be aware that it didn't come without its problems. Same applies to any new technology that's security bound. And as ever, fraudsters will find a way to get around it. But again, it's out there. Sky Bet are already using it. I can tell you now, others are experimenting with Iris login. And for those of you who are interested, you can talk to game providers, machine cabinet providers. There is absolutely no reason this technology cannot be embedded in that. Operators, fabulous way of keeping a track on your VIP customers. Augmented reality. This is starting to take off. Augmented reality is taking something which is in the real physical world, altering it, enhancing it, and supplementing it with a computer-enhanced program. So the last World Cup, Paddy Power, they developed an app. Whenever you had the app on and you put your phone over a £10 note, you saw the Queen with a painted face blowing a vuvuzela. What you see below is what they call an eye palm. Somebody's hand, and you've got the keys of a phone projected onto your palm. If you've got the sensors, it works exactly as a real-life phone. Now, you kind of look at that and think, well, it's fun, it's interesting, how are we ever going to use it? Well, as an operator, if you have challenges in terms of what and where you can advertise and market, augmented reality is actually quite useful. What you see there is the Betfair app. They use it at a race course. What happens is you point the app at the racehorse, it recognises the horse, it gives you the form guide, gives you the jockey, the trainer, gives you the odds, gives you the option to press one button and gamble. What you see there is a town in the UK. Not a very glamorous town, unfortunately, but if you want a customer to know where your nearest venue is, all they have to do is have the app installed, they point it at the landscape, and it will very happily tell you where your nearest William Hill betting shop is. Haven't seen this yet in Kingston, but all you need is an application. You point it at the physical venue as you're going past, and those wonderful people at the Acropolis could tell you what's going on right now. They could possibly tell you that the jackpot is just about to be won. You could be the person to win it. Beacon technology, this is even better. Beacon technology currently works on Bluetooth. A beacon is about that big, and it just sticks anywhere you want it to. What a beacon will do, a bit like a sleeping cell, it will sit there and it will do nothing until it spots a phone which has a compatible application installed. So where you will probably see it most at the moment is at the airport, where a beacon will detect where you are, which flight you're on, and tell you where your luggage is. It will tell you how long you have to get to your gate. It's also used in museums. You point the app at a photograph or a picture, and you'll get a bit of information about it. Don't need to carry a guidebook around. In the UK, it's being used to target customers who are within range of a certain premises. H&M Ladies is a very, very wonderful, cost-effective fashion outlet in Europe. You have the app installed, you're out shopping, you had no intention of going to H&M, but as soon as they know you're in the area, you get a little message, specifically tailored to you as an individual. Unless your regulations say you can't, all you need is an app and a customer database. That's a land-based casino. I understand you have gaming lounges, you have betting shops. Next generation in-play betting. Last World Cup, there was an app. You pointed your phone at the TV screen. It recognised the game you were watching. It gave you the bet prices, the live odds. You decided what you wanted, away you went. One click. Problem with the World Cup and matches is there's just too many of them. It becomes quite difficult and quite costly, because after a while, every single match starts to look like every single other match. Far easier if you have individuals who have recognisable features or gestures. Point, get the prices, have your bet. Log on with your fingerprint or with your iris. Virtual reality is the next big thing. And the last couple of things we look at, this is where it starts to get really challenging. There's a company called Oculus Rift, and they develop eyewear which simulates the real world virtually. For a while, everybody sat there going, yeah, they're ticking along in the background. Earlier this year, they announced they were doing a deal with Samsung. Samsung Gear is now on the market in trial format. These guys were at ICE in London last year, and what you see there is the first proof of concept of what virtual reality gaming looks like. You plug your smartphone into the headgear, you put in a pair of earphones, and suddenly you're in a real-life casino. What you see there is what a virtual gaming lounge might look like. It's a full replication of the real-life land experience served digitally. Fully immersive. Voice-activated commands. And when it comes to the actual betting or the gaming, you will be doing it exactly as you would in the real world. It's gestures. A bit like Wii. Full integrated experience. I guess the question here for both the operators and the regulators, land-based experience served up digitally. Which regulations apply? And actually, does it matter if you have online regulation or not? Because you're going to make sure all of this falls under land-based regulation. It's happening. It's on the way. Another application for virtual reality is customer acquisition. What you can do is say to the customer, have a bet with us, and we will make sure you get virtual front seat tickets. You can be there watching the event for real. Because all they need is a smartphone to be able to present it to you. Now, for something like the Olympics, I know how much tickets cost for the 100-metre finals in London. Very expensive. But if my bookie had said to me, have a bet with me and we'll make it look like you're there in the front row, wonderful. And again, fully immersive experience. This is what's happening now that all of you need to be aware of. You've heard of Google Ask. You speak to Google, you tell it what you would like it to do, and it goes away and finds you. It is very, very good. There was a case in Florida recently where a man killed his best friend because he was having an affair with his girlfriend. The reason they caught him is because they had the Google voice search records, where the guy said to Google, how do I hide a body? Google understood. Google responded with, where would you like to hide the body? In a swamp? In a wood? He took Google's advice. Google pulled the transcripts, and it was the first case where technology of this nature was used to convict somebody. But for you guys, this is exactly like telephone betting, but it's served digitally. You don't have online regulations. Do your telephone betting regulations say you can't do this? Again, question for you to take away, think about. But if you are going to allow this, do you need additional checks and balances in place? Where does it stop? If a voice recognition application understands $10 on somebody to win the World Series or the EPL, it's going to understand spin. So again, you can see voice-activated technology going into other areas of gaming. You require operators to keep records. You go down the digital route or voice-activated betting. Do you want records to be kept? If the law is silent, can you use it to induce customers to spend a little bit more? Promote other bets? From a responsible gambling perspective, if somebody sounds drunk, would you want a human to intervene, take some action? What we saw at the last World Cup was the first trialling of the voice-activated app. It only worked on bets for England to win. Sadly, England didn't win and everybody knew which way it was going, so they didn't get to test it particularly significantly. But we've been working on it. And when Google, Windows, and Amazon are all using voice technology, the bookies are not going to be too far behind. Euro 2016 is going to be the one event where we start to see voice technology really starting to take off. And at that point, it's going to merge with technology. How many of you now use your phone more than you do your PC, your laptop? Okay. We're now moving to, I believe the word is glancing, rather than actually engaging with technology. So we look at it and we move away. And it's been on the back burner for a while, but everybody is coming out now with watches. It's effectively a smartphone in a watch. The next World Cup is going to look like that. And when that happens, my question to you guys, is this telephone betting? Is it mobile betting? Or is it online betting? Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I was about to thank you also for not mentioning David Hasselhoff. I was a bit preemptive in my note-taking there. It's a bit scary, isn't it, that where it is, and it throws a great challenge out to legislators and regulators where it all might end up. But as an old-time regulator, I can see the challenges, but I can also see the opportunities that this type of technology can assist. If the people are concerned about problem gambling and the increasing in levels of gambling, then why not use this technology to not only help the market and the players, but also provide the messages to people as well. So it's not something that should ever be considered in an isolated bubble. We can also use it to use the technology to help. It's interesting that Christina mentioned facial recognition technology. I first came across it in 1994, and it was the panacea of all our ills in the casinos. It was going to help us with criminals coming into the casino, people who wanted to be excluded. It was going to be the method that would solve all our issues and recognise it. 21 years later, I really don't think it's progressed to any great extent. Hopefully it will in time. But Christina, that was very thought-provoking, and hopefully there'll be lots of questions to come out of that.